Support WrestleTalk!
Let's just change the name of the channel again. Alright, let's do it. What's going on, WrestleTalk friends and fans? I'm Tempest from WrestleTalk.com, and you're watching the WrestleTalk Recap. Now, a lot has gone on in the world of professional wrestling since this time 2 weeks ago. I'm very sorry that we missed out on the show last week. There was some technical difficulties. They've since been taken care of for all 12 of you that care. And now, let's move right on to the match of the week. Now, there were a ton of matches to choose from for match of the week, but we're going to go with the main event of All Out, Jon Moxley versus MJF. Personally, I thought this was one of the very best matches of the entire year. The storytelling in this match was honestly on another level. Jon Moxley and MJF battled over what kind of a match they were going to have, and Jon Moxley ultimately got the win. Unable to use his paradigm shift finisher, he waited until the referee was distracted by Wardlow to hit it and retain his title. It was a perfect way to end a pretty alright pay-per-view, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Next up is the show of the week, and it may seem a little AEW-centric, but we're going with Aew Dynamite. This was a big week for AEW, with Dynamite topping 1 million viewers for the first time since October of last year. Now, the show itself, there was a lot to like. Miro Day! Miro Day! That's right, the former Rusev of WWE fame made his debut this week as the best man, Miro. And if you don't think the best man is going to be the most over thing in that company in 6 months, you better think again. Also on the show were a ton of great promos from Matt Hardy, Hangman Page, and Kenny Omega, among others. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega in particular took everything that happened at All Out and pushed their story forward in a tremendous way, with these men being nowhere even close to being on the same page. Finally, things capped off with an excellent main event between Brody Lee and Dustin Rhodes for the TNT Championship. Brody Lee was able to retain the title, but it was not without a tremendous effort from Dustin Rhodes. Switching gears over to the news now, and there were a couple of different kinds of news stories, but first up, PW Insider is reporting that WWE cut over 60 members of their staff this week. Then we have a number of different things that happened on wrestling shows. We already spoke of the debut of Miro. Finn Balor won the NXT Championship this week, and Matt Hardy suffered a horrifying fall at All Out. The fall has led to harsh criticisms against AEW and how it reacted to one of its talents suffering what appeared to be a very serious head injury. Finally, in a more positive note, the G1 Climax Participants were announced this week, and oh my goodness, does this look like a I can't even put it into words. I can't wait! Switching back over to this week's shows, first up we had the All Out pay-per-view. We've already kind of touched on different aspects of the show, but of course there was the Matt Hardy fall, which was just horrifying, as we've said. Matt Sydal made his debut, and
Evan Bourne, of course.
Press.
Oh no. Oh
boy. From there you had Hikaru Shida defending the AEW Women's Championship against Thunder Rosa in one of the better AEW Women's matches of the year. And finally, the culmination of the FTR versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page storyline resulted in FTR winning the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Kenny Omega appeared to turn heel after the match, leaving Hangman Page lying in a broken heap, refusing to help him, as he took off through the building and letting the Young Bucks know that this was it for him. We then had the main event, which we've already gone over in detail, and it capped off what I personally think is a pretty darn good pay-per-view. The bad parts were really bad, but the good parts were really good. Then we had Raw on Monday, and Keith Lee took on Randy Orton.
As this was when the pre-announced full main roster debut of Keith Lee happened. Keith Lee beat Randy Orton clean in the middle of the ring with a spirit bomb.
I'm sensing a bit of a trend here, WWE. There's an insane amount of glare on this sucker. There we go. Drew McIntyre also returned from being punted in the head a few weeks ago, and he absolutely took it to Randy Orton, looking like a total badass in the process. The following night, we had another edition of NXT on Tuesdays, where Finn Balor captured the NXT Championship for the second time, defeating Adam Cole. Then, in the main event of that show, Rhea Ripley was able to put her feud with Mercedes Martinez to bed by beating her in a steel cage match. On Wednesday, we had AEW Dynamite, which we've already talked about, but after that, we had New Japan Pro Wrestling, where new IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions were crowned. Make sure you head on over to WrestleTalk.com, where you can check out the latest features that we have on pro wrestling. You can check out my latest list of the 10 most prestigious championships in pro wrestling today. I'm pretty proud of how this one turned out, so if you go over and give it a few reads, I would really appreciate it. Back over on the YouTube side of things, we have Adam Blampied's latest list, the 20 greatest finishers of all time, one of the most heavily debated topics in all of pro wrestling. Make sure you go and check it out.
Hello again, Ricochet. Aren't you silly? The one and only looks at your 450 splashes and then farts in their general direction.
This is the part of the show where I would normally send you over to WrestleTalk Interviews to check out Louis Dangoor's latest interview, but wait! WrestleTalk Interviews has moved right here on the Wrestle2 channel. Louis Dangoor's latest interview, of course, is with the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham of Ring of Honor, where they talk about race in pro wrestling and how Ring of Honor has handled the pandemic. Make sure you check that out. We're just going to keep things rolling over to Parts Fun Known, where you can check out the latest edition of Calling Spots.
Gerald's face of confusion turned to shock as he realized he was staring into the face of Fred Durst.
Also this week on Parts Fun Known, you have Quizzlemania 18 with a little bit of a Canadian flair to it. I'm not just talking about me, but also Chris Van Vliet returned to the program, and we saw the debut of Mr. WrestleTalk making a hell of a debut.
Oh no.
In other news from our various YouTube channels, Pete Quinnell with a shocking heel turn to allow Mr. Davis to win the Wrestle League week and keep Luke Owen from regaining his job. Pete, of course, then cut a fiery promo explaining his actions right here on Wrestle2.
What do you get when you cross a disrespectful freeloading loner with a man that abandons him and treats him like trash? You get what you deserve.
So what else is happening in the world of WrestleTalk? Well, you want to keep it locked right here on Wrestle2. We have a ton of fun things coming up, including coverage of the G1 Climax tournament. You know that you want more New Japan coverage. I know you want more New Japan coverage. Well, I'm going to be the man to give it to you. We're going to be doing live reactions of the G1 Climax tournament with full reviews of the shows done by me. So I hope you like having me on this channel. If not, I guess we're all kind of screwed. Thank you as always for watching the WrestleTalk recap. Make sure you give this video a like, give us a subscribe to all of WrestleTalk's YouTube channels, and make sure you go and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Our Twitter is @WrestleTalk_TV. Our Instagram is @WrestleTalk.official. You can follow me on Twitter @TempestWT, and I will see you next time.